Welcome to The Tired Mom, the podcast that finally stops lying to you. Whether you're a C-suite executive, a school secretary, a frontline nurse, or a stay-at-home woman, the struggle is the same.
Yeah.
The mental load is heavy, and the coffee is never strong enough.
It really is the great equalizer, isn't it? Like, no matter what your day actually looks like, that exhaustion at the end of it feels universally identical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really does. And, for today's deep dive, we are digging into some honestly explosive, wildly validating new research that we've just been poring over. I mean, we are going to unpack the actual documented anatomy of this very specific brand of female exhaustion.
Yeah.
Because, well, let's be real for a second. We women certainly know how to handle a heavy load, if you know what I mean.
How we definitely do.
Right. But it really shouldn't leave us this completely wrecked, just staring blankly into the open fridge at 8 p.m. every single day.
No, it really shouldn't. But, society basically relies on the fact that it does. So today, we're not just complaining here, we're really analyzing it. We're going to map out exactly why this bone-deep tired exists in the first place by looking at the biological and economic forces that are just actively draining us.
Yes, all of it.
And we're going to tackle the incredibly fierce, kind of double-edged sword of motherhood, along with the child-free choice. And then, most importantly, we're going to break down the actual neuroscience behind a 10-second mental reset that can literally pull you out of an anxiety spiral.
Which I think we all desperately need. So consider this your official vibe check, okay? We are bringing massive empathy today. I want you, yes, you the listener, to hear this loud and clear right at the top. Whether you are managing toddlers or, managing a corporate division or, God help you, managing both, it is okay to feel fucking tired.
Mm-hmm, totally valid.
You are not failing.
Yeah.
You are just operating in a system that was fundamentally, from the ground up, not built for you.
Exactly. It's structural. So let's start with the hard data, because the numbers we found in this source material are, frankly, maddening, especially now that we're projecting into 2026. The research points out that this exhaustion, it crosses every single demographic boundary.
Literally all of them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you are, closing multi-million-dollar corporate deals or if you are a frontline hustler dodging just endless mind-numbing bullshit tasks all day. The burnout, it's exactly the same.
Right. The data specifically calls it a bone-deep tired. And we really see why when we look at the economics of it all. I mean, the research highlights that the pay gap, even today, still sits at 82 cents on the male dollar.
It's a statistic we hear so often that it almost loses its punch, right? People just think, okay, 18 cents, whatever, it's just pennies. But when you extrapolate that over a woman's entire career, it averages out to a $1 million loss.
$1 million.
Literally $1 million.
Which is insane. I need everyone to just stop and think about what $1 million actually buys you in terms of your mental health.
Oh, everything.
Right. It buys you freedom. It buys you the ability to walk away from a toxic boss who's ruining your life. It buys you reliable childcare, house cleaning, the ability to take a sabbatical, or, frankly, the ability to leave a bad marriage without facing total financial ruin. That $1 million isn't just missing wealth, it's a missing safety net.
That's such a crucial point. It is stolen peace of mind. And, what makes this so intensely frustrating is the broader context of it all. Women are actively outpacing men in workforce growth right now.
Mm-hmm.
The macroeconomic data is just crystal clear on this. When barriers to female employment drop, women boost global GDPs by trillions of dollars. Trillions. We are quite literally the economic engines holding this whole damn thing together.
But at what cost to us? I mean, really.
The completely disproportionate one. The burnout rate is, it's stark. 34% of women report feeling always burned out, compared to just 26% of men. And 90% of women report feeling completely wrecked by the quote-unquote balance myth.
Oh, my God. Please do not get me started on the balance myth.
Oh, I know.
It's this toxic, pervasive lie that if you just, wake up at 4:30 a.m., drink enough green juice, and buy the right $40 aesthetic planner from Target, you can somehow seamlessly juggle a thriving career, a pristine home, perfectly regulated children, and a vibrant social life. It is infuriating.
It really is designed to make you feel like you're failing.
Exactly. It feels like we are running an endless uphill marathon while balancing a tray of scalding hot coffees, right? And the guys are just jogging alongside us in comfortable sweatpants, complaining about a tiny pebble in their shoe.
Yeah, and then looking over and casually asking you why you're spilling the coffee.
Exactly. Hey, why are you so stressed out? Just put the coffee down. But we can't. We literally can't put it down. Which, brings up the million-dollar question from the deep dive. Why are we the ones carrying so much more of this invisible weight? Like, why is our side of the marathon so much harder?
Well, this is where we really have to look past the symptoms and get into the actual biology. The source text points out something fascinating about our neurology, and honestly, how society actively weaponizes it against us. Women, generally speaking, are biologically wired for a higher degree of emotional scanning and multitasking.
Okay, wait. I have to push back on this a little bit. Because if we are biologically built for multitasking, shouldn't we be, better at it? Shouldn't we be these highly efficient engines that just hum along perfectly while juggling 10 things? Why does it result in us being more exhausted?
That's a great question, but think of it this way. A high-performance engine naturally burns more fuel. What we call multitasking is actually rapid task switching in the brain. You aren't doing them all at once, you're jumping back and forth constantly.
Right, okay.
And the female brain often has a thicker corpus callosum, which is the bridge between the left and right hemispheres. This allows for faster transfer of data between the logical and intuitive centers. But doing that constantly, scanning the environment, predicting the emotional needs of your boss, remembering that your kid needs to bring, 24 cupcakes to school tomorrow.
Always the damn cupcake.
Right. And then adjusting your tone so you don't sound bitchy in a follow-up email, all of that requires massive amounts of glucose. It is a massive, relentless cognitive load.
So our brains are essentially like a web browser, running 50 tabs open in the background at all times, auto-refreshing every 5 seconds.
Precisely. That's the perfect analogy. And because of that intense concurrent processing, the research points out a stark biological necessity. Women actually need more sleep than men.
Wait, really? We literally need more sleep? Scientifically?
Yes, scientifically. The recovery requirement for a brain that is running that much complex empathetic processing is simply higher. Your brain literally needs more time in deep sleep to clear out the metabolic waste that's generated by all that rapid task switching.
But of course, society doesn't accommodate that at all. We don't get more sleep. If anything, we get less. Because we're the ones getting up with the kids or staying up late to finish the emails we couldn't get to during the day because we were doing invisible emotional labor.
Exactly. We live in this corporate and social landscape that doesn't just ignore our biology, it exploits it. Think about the invisible emotional labor expected of women across practically every role.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's the female CEO who has to constantly, shape-shift her tone and her body language so she appears strong but not threatening to her male board members. Or, the school secretary who is expected to soothe office drama and act as the unpaid therapist for the entire staff, totally on top of her actual job description.
Right. It's the constant monitoring of the emotional weather in the room. And the ultimate trap here is that if you ever show that this emotional heavy lifting is taking a toll on you, you get hit with the toughen up mandate.
Ugh, yes. You're being too sensitive.
Exactly. Society demands this deep emotional awareness from us, relies on it to keep families and corporations from completely falling apart, but then turns right around and labels our sensitivity as a weakness.
It is the absolute ultimate form of gaslighting. You demand that I carry the emotional load of the entire house or the entire office, and then you penalize me for being too emotional when I inevitably get frustrated.
Yeah.
But, this is the part of the research that I found so incredibly empowering. It flips the script completely.
Yeah.
It basically says, screw the guilt.
It really does. It reframes the entire concept of female empathy.
Yes. It argues that this sensitivity, this raw emotional depth we have, it isn't a flaw. It's not some medical condition to be shoved down or hidden away crying in the corporate bathroom. It is exactly how we build what the sociologists in the text call empathy empires.
I love that phrase, empathy empires.
Me too. And I want to speak directly to you, the woman listening right now. Lean into it. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream in your car in the Target parking lot, scream. Feel the rage. Because men are allowed to just coast through the world in their comfortable sweatpants, totally oblivious to the emotional undertows. But our emotional floods, the very things we are told make us messy or weak, are actually our absolute greatest asset.
When you understand the neuroscience of it, that your empathy is literally a highly evolved, complex brain function that you are currently providing to the world for free, well, the anger you feel makes perfect logical sense. It's not a personal failing. It's an accurate assessment of a deeply unfair system.
I preach. Okay, but if just surviving a Tuesday morning meeting drains our glucose because we are reading everyone's micro expressions, What happens when you introduce the ultimate emotional variable? I'm talking about kids. The fierce damned if you do, damned if you don't choice of motherhood, because this is where the emotional load just peaks.
Oh, it is the absolute apex of the mental load. The research looks at motherhood through the lens of this exhaustion, and let me tell you, it does not sugarcoat it one bit. For women who choose to be moms, the corporate world immediately paints your children as these energy vampires that exist simply to derail your productivity.
Which, honestly, toddlers are energy vampires. Let's not pretend they aren't. I mean, they require a staggering amount of output.
Oh, of course they do. Motherhood comes with an incalculable mental load. I mean, there are the staggering financial costs of childcare alone. Then there is the very real, very heavy climate doom anxiety, the psychological weight of bringing a child into a world that feels increasingly unstable.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
And on top of all that, there's virtually zero systemic societal support. The American model especially, it expects you to work like you don't have children and raise children like you don't have to work.
The impossible math of modern motherhood. It's a math problem that literally cannot be solved. But then why do we do it? Because millions of us still do it every day.
Because it defies logic. The text argues that despite all of those completely rational reasons not to do it, many women have a raw, soul-deep, biologically wired-in drive to nurture. The researchers actually describe the choice to have kids as a fierce yes despite the hell. It's a profoundly powerful human drive that simply supersedes the exhaustion.
A fierce yes despite the hell.
Wow.
It's that primal pull, isn't it? You know it's going to wreck your sleep, your bank account, and your clean floors, but you dive headfirst into the fire anyway.
Yeah, you do.
But we also really have to talk about the flip side of this, because the data shows a massive shift happening right now. We have a whole generation looking at this impossible math and making a completely different but equally valid choice.
Absolutely. The data on Gen Z and millennial women is fascinating here. They are increasingly citing the unstable economy, the broken housing market, and just a deep desire to protect their personal freedom and their careers as reasons to slam the door entirely on having kids. They are looking at the mental load and the burnout statistics we just discussed and saying, no, thank you, I'm choosing my own peace.
And society absolutely loses its collective mind over both choices. That's the insane part to me. Think about the messaging you receive every single day. Society shames child-free women constantly. They're labeled as cold or selfish or unfulfilled just because they wouldn't sacrifice themselves on the altar of motherhood.
Exactly.
And then, in the exact same breath, society sidelines and penalizes mothers, treating us as distracted or less dedicated to our careers or just a nuisance when our kid gets a fever at daycare and we have to leave early. It is a completely rigged game.
It is a systemic double bind. If you can't win either way, it's designed to keep you off balance and doubting yourself, no matter which path you take.
But here is the lifeline from the research, and I love this so much. It validates both paths with such ferocity. It says, if you don't have kids, you aren't being selfish. You are radically reclaiming your power and your resources in a system that was designed to drain you.
Right.
And if you do have kids, given all the structural obstacles stacked against you, you are a goddamn warrior holding up the future of humanity. The ultimate message here is to choose your fire and do it with absolutely zero apologies.
Choose your fire. I mean, both paths require burning. Both paths require immense resilience. The only thing that actually matters is that the choice belongs to you, not to the cultural expectations.
Exactly. Own your choice. Okay, so we've validated the exhaustion. We see the bullshit pay gap. We understand our multitasking brains need more sleep. We feel the justified rage of the impossible choices we're forced to make. But my alarm is still going to go off tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Sadly, yes.
The kids still need to eat. The emails still need to be answered. The dog is probably going to throw up on the rug. Yeah. How do we actually survive the chaos without completely losing our shit?
Right, because validation is great, but it doesn't pack the lunchboxes. So this is where the text shifts to tactical survival. The research points to a psychological framework developed by Shirzad Chamine, focusing on something called positive intelligence, or what he calls PQ. And the core tool here is something called PQ reps.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first read about this in our research, I was super skeptical. I saw the words positive intelligence and immediately thought, oh, great, more toxic positivity. Someone's going to tell me to just smile through the chaos and practice gratitude while my house burns down.
I know, it really does sound like that on the surface, but it's actually rooted in neurobiology, not just positive thinking. It's about physically shifting the blood flow in your brain.
Okay, break that down for us. Because the concept revolves around quieting our saboteurs. And let me tell you, I know my saboteur intimately. She's a real bitch.
We all have one, trust me. So the saboteur is that inner critic. Neurologically, it's the voice driven by the amygdala, which is your survival brain. It's the anxiety-spinning voice that looks at the messy house, the unread emails, and the crying kid, and instead of recognizing that the situation itself is chaotic, it tells you that you are failing. It personalizes the systemic overload.
Yes.
Huh.
It says, if you were just a better mom, if you were more organized, if you were a better wife, this wouldn't be happening. That voice is a liar. But in the moment, when you're completely flooded, it feels entirely true.
It feels true because your amygdala has literally hijacked your nervous system. You are in a full-blown fight-or-flight response over unfolded laundry. So the PQ reps are designed to physically interrupt that specific neural pathway. The goal is to shut down the saboteur and activate what Shamin calls your sage.
The sage.
Right, the sage operates from the prefrontal cortex. It's the part of you that can look at the exact same chaos and say, okay, this is a lot, but I am capable and I will handle the next right step.
So how do we actually make that shift? Because telling myself to just, use my prefrontal cortex while my toddler is screaming in the middle of Target doesn't usually work for me.
Right, cognitive reasoning doesn't work when you're flooded with stress hormones. You have to use your body. A PQ rep is a 10-second physical intervention. It relies on acute tactile sensation to force your brain to pull focus away from the anxiety loop in the amygdala and reroute it to the sensory processing centers.
Okay, so it's basically like pulling the emergency brake for your brain.
That's exactly what it is.
Let's talk about the specific exercise we found in the source, because I actually tried this yesterday when I felt my blood pressure spiking, and the physical shift was wild.
Let's walk through the mechanics of it. Wherever you are right now listening to this, I want you to try this. You take your hands and you clench both of your fists as tight as you physically can, and you hold that extreme tension for 6 seconds.
And when I did this, I didn't try to clear my mind or think happy thoughts. I actually poured all my rage right into it.
That's exactly how you should do it. You don't ignore the stress. You channel the exhaustion, the unfairness of that invisible load, the sheer frustration of the moment. You channel it straight into the muscles of your hands. You hold it tight for 6 seconds. Then you release. You open your hands, let the tension drop completely, and take a deep, slow breath for another 6 seconds, focusing entirely on the physical sensation in your palms.
Yes. When you release, you can literally feel the blood rushing back into your fingers. It's like this buzzing, tingling sensation.
And that buzzing sensation is the key. By forcing your brain to focus intensely on the feeling in your fingertips, you are demanding that your brain process real-time sensory data. The amygdala can't sustain its panic loop about the future or the past when the brain is suddenly required to process acute physical sensation right now in the present.
It literally breaks the circuit.
It does.
You do that cycle clench for 6, release and breathe for 6. You do it 3 times in a row. It takes less than 40 seconds. And honestly, it isn't magical thinking. It didn't fold my laundry for me, but it completely stopped my heart from pounding out of my chest.
Because it forces a physiological reset of your parasympathetic nervous system. It shifts you out of that guilt-ridden rage and into what the researchers beautifully call chaotic acceptance.
Ah, chaotic acceptance. I feel like I need that tattooed on my arm. That is the goal right there. It's looking at the absolute mess of your life, the toys on the floor, the unread Slack messages, and saying, this chaos is mine. It is wild, it is messy, but I've got this. It's taking the narrative back from the saboteur.
Exactly. When you strip away all the societal guilt and the impossible expectations, what you're actually left with is an incredibly resilient, capable human being who is operating under immense pressure and doing a damn good job of it.
Which brings us to the ultimate rallying cry of all the data we've looked at today, and the core message we want you to walk away with. Listen to me. Women, we are not broken.
Not at all.
The deep exhaustion you feel is not a symptom of your inadequacy. It is a symptom of your incredible unmatched output. As one of the sociologists we read put it so beautifully, we are wildfires in human skin, thriving spicy and unfiltered.
God, that is such a powerful image. It reclaims the heat, the energy, and yes, even the occasional destruction of being a woman as something entirely natural and awe-inspiring, rather than something that constantly needs to be controlled, medicated, or managed by a corporate structure.
We are forces of nature. The message is to rage on, to rest deep, because, hello, we have the science to prove we need the sleep, and to rise fiercer.
Synthesizing all these biological and economic realities, it really leaves me with one final kind of provocative question to chew on.
We'll lay it on us.
Well, we've established that our brains are wired for complex multitasking, deep emotional sensitivity, and an inherent drive to nurture and protect, right? And right now, society treats these traits as a burden to be managed. But if you look at the complex, interconnected, frankly, chaotic state of the global future, could it be that this exact exhausting female blueprint isn't a burden at all? Could it actually be the necessary evolutionary next step for global leadership?
Oh, I love that. Are we the evolutionary blueprint for the future?
Yeah.
I certainly think so. Empathy empires, baby. And if we are the ones who are going to lead us out of this mess, we are definitely going to need a lot more coffee. So to everyone listening, drink that extra strong cup today. Feel the rage, do your PQ reps in the car line, and own your beautiful, unapologetic chaos. We are right there in the trenches with you. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you for the next deep dive.